Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So if this is one of those Twitter conversations that I mentioned a very long time ago that we would have, I thought this was a very, interesting situation. And interesting, I mean, not interesting in a cool way, but interesting in a wow, they really did this kind of a way. Now, I was already informed on this particular situation before it actually went as viral as it's going right now, which is why I wanted to talk about it. Other than the stuff surrounding it, that we really need to talk about concerning the Black community and the things that a lot of Black people like to do. So this young man went viral just recently because he made a post where he was explaining, and he explained it. I don't know why people are confused, some people. He explained how he was going to have a surgery that he had to have done, and basically that he had told all his friends and family, all of his close friends and his family knew about this surgery. After this surgery took place, he took to the internet, he took to Twitter and made a post talking about how he blocked a lot of those same people who he thought was his close friends because they didn't even check up on him after the surgery. Now, some of the first comments I saw some people making, which didn't surprise me at all, were questions like, well, did you remind them? Did you actually tell them that you had the surgery? Even some people saying, oh, well, did you check on them? Did you make sure they weren't going through anything before you told them about your surgery? And I thought all these comments were ridiculous. First of all, some people could have answered those first questions by just reading. He had already stated that he told his close friends about this surgery. He even restated that he told them ahead of time, and he told them the day before the surgery. So he told them and he reminded them. Another reason why comments like that is a problem. Well, for one, why would he be on the internet talking about how he cut them off if he didn't even tell them about the surgery to begin with? And second of all, it comes from that place where there's never anything you can do enough of to make people respect you, to make people a good friend, a good family member, a good person who you're in a relationship with. You can be doing all this and then some. If somebody just wants to be ignorant, or they just want to not be there for you, that's what they're going to do because of their lack of character and integrity and because they don't care. And as for the other comments, like I said, the one that I mentioned before about, well, maybe they were going through something and making it seem like maybe somebody didn't want the responsibility of worrying about somebody who was supposed to be their close friend by having that information. This is surgery we're talking about. There have been people who have lost their lives even going through some of the most simple of surgeries. You mean to tell me his friends couldn't take 2 seconds, 2 minutes out of their day to call him, text him, and be like, you good, bruh, after the surgery? Even if they were going through a bunch of stuff, that does not excuse you for being a raggedy friend and not showing any kind of care or empathy for somebody that's going through something that could very well be worse than what you're going through. Where do we get this mentality of saying, oh, well, I'm going through stuff. I don't really want to care about this person who I'm supposed to be close friends with, mind you, and what they're going through, making it more about us than caring about the people who we're supposed to be in some kind of friendship or relationship with. That's just raggedy. Now, I do understand that there are some people who are just asking, did he tell them about the surgery to make sure they got all the details and the facts straight? But again, it doubles down on there's nothing you can do enough of to make people do right by you, to be mindful of you. People will do right by you because they want to do right by you, because they care about you, and because they know it's right to do. Now, the other part of this were these other men on here trying to make it seem like he was being sassy, if you will, by basically trying to hold them accountable for being raggedy friends. Like, you really had people, men mostly, that I saw, coming out of the woodworks trying to call this man gay because he was upset because his friends did not check up on him after a surgery. Again, what kind of low maintenance, no effort having, no empathy giving individuals are these? What kind of friendships do these people have where they don't check up on people who are going through stuff like this? Y'all see why now I keep saying that the Black community has an empathy problem? The moment we have people walking around thinking it's acceptable to just ignore people and don't even give them a call to make sure that they are okay, show some kind of empathy, compassion, care, or love for the person that they claim they're in a friendship with, we are in trouble. This mindset, this ideology is spreading like a disease, and we really need to shame it back to the pits of hell from whence it came. There were really people trying to make it seem like it was feminine and girly for him to want people to care about him, for him to want his, as he put it in quotation marks, homeboys to show some kind of care for him. Really trying to make it seem like, oh, close friends are only for women. And this has stemmed from this mentality, this mindset that has also run amok in the Black community especially, where they feel like masculinity equals having no feelings. Masculinity equals being rude and disrespectful to people. Masculinity means that you can't show brotherly love for another man. And that's just simply not true. And I get it, there were some men who did not have examples or were not raised by men who could show them how to be loving and caring and kind people. Men, not just to women and children, but to other men as well. But that does not give them the excuse or the justification to go out and be awful to other people. Low-key, some of these people, I feel like, adopted these toxic mentalities and they just don't want to do better, which is why they do some of the cuckoo stuff that they've done. But actions have consequences and we reap what we sow. So these people at the end of the road, when they don't have any kind of meaningful relationships, they're going to have to one day wake up and try to understand why, or come to some kind of conclusion as to the fact that it was them and their goofy mentalities that got them where they are. They're going to have to take some kind of accountability and responsibility and come to some kind of decision to make the conscious decision to choose to do better, to learn how to do better, to learn how to treat people better, to learn how to feel some kind of empathy and care and not be toxic, or they can stay stuck on stupid. Unfortunately, a lot of people choose to stay stuck on stupid. I'm only feeling sorry for the people who have the misfortune of dealing with them. Another thing this situation exposes is this crazy thing we have once again in the Black community where people will complain about there not being spaces for people to be vulnerable, to talk about vulnerable things, to express emotions. Like people love to talk about how women have killed spaces for men to be vulnerable when it's really a lot of the men that are killing those spaces for other men. This young man took to the internet and talked about how he was hurt because his friends did not be friends and express any kind of care towards him by contacting him after a surgery that he told them he was going to have, and that he cut them off, which he had every right to do. And I'm glad that he did it because ain't nobody got time for that kind of toxicity. And these other men, and people pointed this out, other Black men, unfortunately, were the ones calling him gay for it. He also talked about a little bit of his background and his family, how he was raised by his father who taught him how to have healthy relationships, how to not bottle up his feelings. Little do most people know that stuff will delete you. Having bottled up negative feelings, not being able to express anything to anybody, that will mess you up on the inside. Low-key, it can manifest itself as diseases in your literal body. A lot of the ways some of these people out here like to move in relationships, dysfunctional ways they move in relationships, other people were not taught. Some people were actually taught, like I said, to find and build and maintain functional, non-toxic, healthy relationships. And some people are so used to the opposite. When they see people who are functional and non-toxic and healthy, they attack those relationships, they attack those people. To them, essentially, right is wrong and wrong is right. But once again, I'm glad that he cut them off because that might actually help wake them up to what they did wrong, for all we know. You can't help somebody see the error of their ways by co-signing their consistent raggedy and bad behavior. This really reminds me of the Tyrese situation, where people were swearing to high heaven, once again, not to be petty, that the women only were causing his mental health to decline by saying things about him after he made that video crying on the internet. Meanwhile, men were making fun of him, were calling him weak, and making whole memes about the man. Now, I didn't say all men were doing that, and I'm not saying that all men were calling him gay, because there were some men in these comments saying that these men who were saying that about him for cutting them off were wrong for that. And I've said before, if somebody shows you consistently bad behavior, that they're not going to change, or they do something that drastic that shows you they really don't care about you, you do not need that in your life. You do not have to put up with that. It was nice and refreshing to see people coming into agreement with this young man and saying that he was not wrong for cutting those young men off. That this entire situation, like I said, exposes a lot of problems that run amok in the Black community. A lot of really negative and toxic mentalities that run amok in the community that we do need to talk about, we need to address, and we need to condemn. Because what we don't want is other people adopting those toxic mentalities. What we don't want, especially, is our youth thinking that toxicness is okay, is normalized, and will be accepted. Again, what we don't want is for people to think to be masculine means to be cold-hearted, to be distant, to be lacking in empathy, to not show care and compassion to other people. What happened to as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another one? What happened to brotherhood? What happened to friendship? Men can be friends and platonic while also showing love and care and compassion for each other. Anyways, once people got rid of those excuses and weren't here for them 2 for $1, then they tried to say that it was gay because he got on the internet and he spoke about it. People were really talking about he sneak dissed them and that was sassy behavior. But if I called out everybody, which I had been doing not too long ago with that Shannon Sharp situation and all those comedians who came out, if we called out everybody who sneak dissed somebody and labeled them gay because of it, most of everybody's favorite celebrities, actors, comedians would be gay. And make no mistake, he didn't sneak diss anybody. He called them out quite blatantly, quite plainly actually. Once again, people were not buying that silly behind excuse, 3 for $1, let alone 2. And they were saying, no, y'all just have issues and y'all don't want to do anything about y'all's issues. Y'all got problems. Y'all are not good to people. And y'all are just trying to find reasons and excuses to justify it. When there's no justification, there's no excuses. I mean, these people were not having it in these comment sections, and I was here for it. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Yes, I understand some people were not taught how to care for people necessarily, what's expected from them in a friendship. But there are some things I feel like are kind of like common sense. Some of this stuff, some of these questions, some of these things that people are unsure about can be answered simply by asking themselves how would they feel in that situation. I've said this before. Put yourself in other people's shoes. Would you like it if you were going through something like that and nobody checked on you? Nobody asked, hey, by the way, are you even alive? Like this one person said. Hey, are you okay? What's up? You good? Even for 2 seconds. How would you like it if you were going through it and nobody cared enough about you to say anything? To make sure you were okay, to ask if you needed anything, to think a little less about themselves and be a little more concerned about you because you were their friend. And some people have the audacity to expect the same level of friendship from somebody they're friends with that they wouldn't even give to their friends. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time and then cut them off. Forgive them. You ain't got to hold a grudge. Don't hold a grudge. Forgive them. Cut them off. Because if they've shown you they don't care about you, they're not going to care about you, that's not something you need in your life, like I said before. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.